feel like out of everybody here, I am the most burnt.
You have a hair on your mic.
I do? Oh, I
pull
got
that off.
multiple.
As you were talking, I seen it blowing and flapping
That
around.
looks like yours.
Mine, what?
Look at this. Look at the sun. Look at the sun tan difference. And that's my tattoo arm. We don't want to see this. God, I'm so pale. This is not fair.
I lathered up so much sunscreen.
Yeah.
I can't even tell you. I used a whole bottle. I felt so bad. Zach Hamby, who helped with the booth, came up, and I was spraying on my entire bottle of sunscreen. And he's like, "Oh, bro, I forgot some. Can I use some?" I was like, "Oh, yeah, absolutely." And I was like, just finishing my leg. And as he asked, it did the last little, and I was like, "Oh, no." And he looked up at me, eyes glossy. I gave it to him, and he's like, "It's empty, isn't it?" I was like, "I'm so fucking sorry." I'm pretty sure he burnt that day.
Oh, no.
For those that are wondering, we just returned from Road America for the weekend for the Summer Festival, Summer Apex Festival. That was hosted by Gridlife, which was an absolutely incredible weekend.
Insane.
Wild.
We're going to talk most of this podcast about that event, the cars, some of the activities that we were involved with, including the concourse and car show. Then we're going to end with some breaking news, some car questions, if you will, from the internet. So, audience, thank you so much for all the comments, all the messages, and all the support on the shorts. The little podcast clips have been doing really awesome, and we appreciate that, whether you're sharing it, whether you're liking it or commenting on it. That always means the world for us. So if you are looking for car parts, mod your car over at MartiniWorks.com. We just got a bunch of new tires on the website, including Yokohama, Nexen, Michelin. We're working on getting Ironman on there. I think we got on there as well for the drift community. So really just trying to jump into it full steam ahead. And if you guys need help with getting your car parts ordered up, maybe you just don't want to take it all out of pocket, we do offer for probably the next couple months 0% financing for up to 12 months, meaning that if you need a car part now, you pay it off in 12 months, you don't pay any interest on it. So just don't buy something you don't absolutely need. Try not to max out your loan, because that I would feel bad telling you that. But we do have that option if you're interested in it. With that being said, let's jump right into it. Where do we even start? Because the whole last 2 weeks for me have been a bit of a blur.
Yeah, I
It's
can
been
imagine.
insane.
It's been constantly Wednesday at 7 p.m. for some
So
reason.
I think on the podcast for a while we've been talking about how much you've been grinding to get the S2K back up and running after the whole pyrotechnics that went on.
And you did.
Yeah, I mean, the great news about the internet is the worse things get, and the more you share, the more they want to kick you when you're down if they don't know you, which is exactly what happened. The S2000, we got up and rocking. We got a baseline tune on it. We got it working. It was incredible. It was awesome. I could have kissed Chris through the phone from ECU Master. He was incredible. And we were good, man. Wednesday was the final day. It was the final day before we took the S2000 to Road America on Thursday. Head on over to Lynn Green Supercars to get the dyno tune all figured out. Got there. We must have done probably 20 pulls on the K24. Things were looking really good. We had all the sensors firing. Everything was looking healthy. The charts were looking good. The fuel was looking good. All of it. Everything spot on. Set down the camera. I'm like, all right, I'm going to go for a little walk, just kind of peruse the old shop and see what we got going on in there. And they got a lot of really cool stuff. And as I'm like laughing with one of the employees, and Dustin's laughing with one of the employees, Kyle comes out and he just looks at me and goes, "Hey, so I think a connecting rod just kind of broke." And like just kind of like started to walk away.
Kinda.
I'm like, "What? You're joking, right? Like you got to be kidding me." So we walk out into the dyno space, and it's filled with smoke and dust and smells like oil and the inside of an engine. And sure shit, we broke the connecting rod on cylinder 3.
Damn.
Somehow. Popped a little window at the bottom of the block. So that was the probably the most devastating
Like worst case scenario.
yeah, that I've ever been on a car build in my life. And we actually just posted that on the Alex Martini channel if you want to take a look. But man, the worst part about it is I told the internet, right? I tried to get the content out as fast as possible just because we had the whole weekend ahead of us, and there's going to be a lot of real-time content kind of getting posted over the weekend. And dude, it's like the moment we posted it, obviously we had a lot of support, a lot of love, but then there are people that are like, "Well, that engine can't do that. That tune can't do that.
Oh.
That ECU can't do that." And like all of these people out of nowhere, like, "You can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this, you can't do that." And it's like, listen, man, I'm not trying to tell you that I don't know what I'm doing, because sometimes I really, really don't. But we had that car at 475 horsepower, 480 horsepower. And it was running 17 pounds of boost, and it was doing just fine. You know, super happy. And JDM K24As can handle 400 to 500 horsepower on stock block, stock internals, pretty much strap a turbo to it and let her eat. And we were at 351 when it blew up.
Sure.
So we were nowhere close to where we needed to be. So we have to go look at the logs, figure out if it's a tuning issue. You know, did maybe Kyle or Lindgren, did they make a mistake? Or is it a part failure, meaning it was just the connecting rod was bent, maybe it was just used, maybe the fact that it was a low mileage JDM engine, maybe it really wasn't a low mileage JDM engine.
Sure.
So that's where we're at. That
That's
sucked.
Devastating.
Yeah, that's literally, like you said, worst case scenario after
Yeah.
going through all of that for literally almost what feels like a month.
Well, it's not just like, I mean, I'm sure you've gone through this, and I'm sure you've gone through
Yep.
this. And if you're listening, I feel like you've probably gone through this as well. Working on cars, you're never working on something that you're always 110% confident in. You're constantly pushing your brain to figure something out. It's a new problem. It's a new thing. It's a new car. It's a new something. So when you jump into it, you're already at a disadvantage of not always knowing everything needed to go into it. And so our entire experience with the S2000 since it started on fire has been that experience. Like climbing up a hill on figuring out what burnt, climbing up a hill to figure out what other damage was done, climbing up a hill to rewire an ECU harness, climbing up a hill to put a new ECU in, getting the Honda 8 out, everything was like learning. So you're not just like doing stuff. It's not like it's not like you're just factory working on something and you could just, mind-numbingly.
Yeah, you're trying to like intake information, process it, do it for the first time, as well as doing it in general.
Doing it right.
Right, yeah.
And
That's a lot.
that was the worst part.
And on top of that, just to say, like, filming the whole process too always adds like another whole layer on top of it, because you want to document and you want to do it right. You want to get the good video made too. So it's like I swear it like doubles the amount of time to do that kind of stuff. And then, dude, yeah, I mean, we had a bunch of people coming in and out of here and like taking a crack at things and helping you out. And I know it's funny. I mean, not really funny, but going through some of the comments like, oh, you should have just went to a professional for help. No, you should have just asked for help. You should have had a professional. It's like, we fucking did.
Yeah.
You fucking did. We had like the best of the best come in here and try to help out with this. And that's the reason it got to where it did. It's just unfortunate that, yeah, maybe if it was some prior issue that finally like, showed its ugly head and lost the connecting rod or what, but
yeah, it's always tough because nobody seems to want to show maybe sometimes like the bad stuff, or they never want to like put themselves in a position where it's like they're vulnerable and showing something that they don't know about. But I don't know. I don't know how to wire an entire ECU harness.
and that's okay.
And I just don't. That's not something I'm skilled at. But,
You don't know how to do this?
but apparently
Stupid.
there's so many people on the internet that have done it so many times and they're absolutely perfect at it.
Good
And
job.
It's like,
Proud of you.
wow, that's super cool. And they've got no followers and their icon is that default icon. And I'm pretty sure they're just some random person that's just shitting on me to shit on me, But
Yeah, it always have like the private accounts and
Yeah.
shit like that. What I'm realizing though is when you have a problem child, a vehicle, a motorized piece of equipment that has issues from the very get-go, these vehicles just continue to be the problem child. And it's all making sense. Like, you've always had gremlins with the S2000.
yeah.
And like, I had a Husqvarna SMR 450 Supermoto back in the day, and it was the most fantastic bike in the world. I loved it. But since day one of having that bike, I always had issues. It started with, I went to the DMV and the VIN number was one number off. Kind of weird, kind of sus. Anyways, that was the start of just the problem childness of this thing. It was the first motorized vehicle that I ever blew up. The engine went on it. I wasn't doing anything other than just riding it. And with Husqvarna, their parts are kind of tough. So I spent months and months and money trying to get parts and getting them all together, and bless my friend Neff for helping me out with getting that bike back on the road. But after over like a year of it sitting in his grandma's garage, we got that fucker back on the road. And I think it was a week into it, the kickstand broke while I was sitting it down and cracked the side of the engine cover immediately after it was fixed, after a year of doing it.
Oh my
And,
God.
So got it back together again after that. Again, another process. And it just continued to have these small gremlin issues. So I'm going to say this. If you're getting into a vehicle and it has just a few small quirks and issues, no, don't. It's
Yeah.
going to spiral out of control. Stay away. Buy something that works right away.
That's what's showing. Yeah, all the underneath stuff. That's just the tip of the iceberg.
I would agree with that. I mean, I think just even when we were at Gridlife this weekend, we were going to be in the track modified, street modified class. I don't know, like the second to
There's a lot of classes.
second to highest class, and watching these cars, the S2000 would have never even stood a chance. Like not even like a remote chance. Like most of these cars were 675 wheel horsepower.
There was
Mark
insane
V
builds there.
Supras and
cool.
an AMG, I think GTC or an AMG GT. You know, that was all tuned and modified. Even we switched to cars. Thank God for Becca. I asked her if I could borrow her car to run. So we ran in just this street GT class, which is literally like hey, the car has to be under 115,000 MSRP in like today's dollars. You can't have any crazy aero. You can have a little bit of suspension work, a little bit of exhaust work, maybe engine work. Go nuts. That's the class that you're in. And I'm like, okay, the M4 should be good in this class. And like the cars I saw were Corvette, M2, M3, and M4. I was like, okay, cool. We should be good. Dude, these cars are so goddamn fast. I don't know. The guy that won first, I think, had a couple extra 100 horsepower, but he was running 222s.
God damn.
My fastest time was a 237 too.
Dude's taking the fucking Mario Kart shortcuts of North America.
Bro was, and like I maybe not that fast. I felt fast. I thought we were going fast, but apparently not. But it was an awesome experience. The S2000 is a problem child, and I think figuring out what we're going to do with that car is going to take longer than just a quick YouTube video. Kind of like update and fix. I think we got to really ask ourselves with the K24, what do we want to do? Because we can find one on Marketplace, for a grand or two and throw it in again. But what's going to stop that problem from happening again? And if we wanted to be in that class that we built it for, a stock K24A ain't going to do shit. Nothing.
So yeah, like what are your thoughts right now? I mean, obviously it's freaking gut wrenching. It's heartbreaking. It's frustrating. It's annoying. Like what is at this moment kind of like your thoughts? Like what are you planning on doing with it?
There's two options, and I guess maybe the podcast chat can kind of give me their opinions first, since you're hearing that. There's two options. There's option one, we put another K24 in it and we just sell it. We call it quits on the platform. We say, hey, we tried our best. We got it all together. It runs great, but we built it so under the bar for what we wanted to do. It's just not competitive. And we sell it and we try something new. Or option two, we try to fight that uphill battle with the gremlins. We take out the K24A. We try to find a built K24, something that can handle that 1,000 horsepower crank number. Because you can find those. There's some that are pre-built that'll come to your door, 1,000, 1,200 horse.
Jesus.
I'm sure for really cheap too.
Oh yeah, super affordable. 100 horsepower per 1,000 is the number that I've kind of used as a reference point, in case you're wondering. So that's the second option is,
Okay, so to circle back to the first option, if you were to just like sell the S2K after you get her back together, what would you replace it with?
To be incredibly honest, I've seen probably 2 or 3 platforms really perform lately that I'd like to try. Platform number 1, Mark V Supra. I've heard and I've seen just do wicked things, incredible things. The engine is more than like compatible, I guess, with like high horsepower. Yeah, like with high horsepower applications.
B58, baby.
I've also seen Corvettes do incredibly well in on track racing in terms of like reliability and power, and
there was
they've
a
got
lot of
huge arches and they can handle a lot of tire, which I think would be really cool. And then, option 3 is maybe
Viper.
There's a lot of maybes.
No, Viper's a
Okay,
Viper's a drift
Viper's
car.
out. Oh,
No.
Viper's a drift
Viper's
car.
a drift car.
Okay, all right, we're changing. All right, changing it.
BMW, like an M2.
Okay,
Because you said
You said you were really
Becca's car
impressed
did really
with-
good out there, didn't it?
Yeah, it did awesome. I mean, like the only mistakes were really my mistakes. The car was awesome, even without the wing, because we had to take the wing off for the class we were in. But like
The
we
stands,
had
though.
we had
Yeah.
two like, so in the class we could run 285s all the way around. I think 265 or 285s all the way around, and we were running 235/35. Like
God.
20 fronts and 265/35 rears. So we were so undersized, just like entire by itself.
Yeah.
And then there was no sidewall.
No,
like,
they were very
movement.
Out
So
there
we
with
looked
rubber bands.
Yeah, we looked sick on the track. I'll tell you what. But dude, the M3, M4, M2 chassis they're fantastic. I mean,
Yeah.
I spent all day in that car just on it, and my only like lack of confidence came from myself. It didn't come from the car, if that means anything, you know. So
I'm telling you, you get
Right, I
those BMWs on the track and you realize why their MSRPs are so freaking ridiculous.
Yeah.
There's-
Like it starts to make sense though.
the street versions of BMWs and the track versions of BMWs, I don't even think they're the same car. I don't know how to explain it. They're just, we drive Becca's car everywhere, grocery getting. We take it down to Tennessee
Yep.
for
Yeah,
car
yeah.
shows. You know, she drives it literally everywhere, and it just feels like a normal, nothing crazy car. And then I'm taking the carousel at 86 miles an hour, and the suspension is so sensitive that it's like feeding me input like through my foot, where it's like, hey, that back left is just kind of chirping there. You just kind of feel it. We're going through the kink at 122 miles an hour, and I can feel that front strut just kind of lurching over. And to get those feelings from a car is really hard to do. And BMW has found this recipe where you can feel that super well in a car that's 3,800 pounds and is meant to be like street driven. I think it was super impressive. So the fact we were even able to get out there was a win in my book.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, you beat the hell out of that car.
So I mean, like, how was it? Like, this was your first real competition.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
That's got to be scary.
You're surrounded by cars going 140,
Yes,
50.
it was my first competition. I will say I did get P9
Top 10.
out of 9. I was really racing up against a couple M2s in the class, but man, it was great. I'm a super competitive person. I think you guys know that. To the community, I'm very competitive. And so getting in a space like that was good for my soul. I mean, I don't know how to explain it. It just it felt right. And to see where we were messing up, to see what we were doing well was great. And to see these people drive so much better than myself, it kind of was like one of those things where you're like, hell yeah, there's like something to reach for and aim for. But yeah, I would say it was my first, like, not wheel-to-wheel racing, but it was fully open track, which means you had cars passing you and you were passing cars everywhere you could possibly get safely, which was a wild experience. When you're on turn, when you're going from 3 to 5 and you're going 140, I was going 135 when another car passed me at what must have been 156, 154.
That's
And
insane.
watching them brake, slightly coming onto line, braking as they're coming onto line, and you're braking coming onto line. It's a whole different world. Like being out there by yourself at an HPD event, it's kind of like just playing single player,
Right.
And
Yeah,
you
yeah.
have all the track. You usually have very little you have to worry about.
Point some people by every now and
Point
then.
you wait, you point by 14 to let the 1SS go through, but you see a 1SS screaming by you, and then you've got a GR86 that's like K24 swap that is making like 600 horsepower on your ass as well, but won't pass you because they want your air. And you braking and you feel sandwiched because you can't brake too hard because you don't want to screw up the car behind you. You don't want to brake too soft because you don't want to ram the car in front. And you're going downhill and you're in a car that's not yours, and you're like, holy shit, and you're turning in, and you're trying to get up the hill, and you're trying to remember all these inputs, you're trying to remember what gear you should be in, you're trying to see if your MDM's like actually fully kicking on, you don't want to just slam on the throttle. It is, you get out, and you're physically and mentally like strained, and it is a cool ass feeling, and I'm so blessed to have that experience because we've spent a lot of time drifting, getting into that grassroots side of things, trying to finally find a platform to get a little bit more horsepower, but jumping into time attack now too, it's a whole different discipline, and to
absolutely.
feel that experience is wild. It's so cool.
Online gaming lobbies have made me terrified about that exact position that you just mentioned.
It happened all the time. And to be clear, it happened all weekend. The Rush SR series, there's these tiny little cars that are like the size of this coffee table.
Literally.
Yeah.
They're 1300cc open wheel spec'd race cars. For 40 grand, you can have a mini Formula One car and run around with a bunch of other ones. But dude, these guys that have never been on Road America are on these little fucking go-karts going like 3 wide into turn 5. And they're just
ripping.
like
Dude,
pew,
they were
pew, pew, pew,
insane,
pew,
yeah.
bouncing off of each other and fucking going off into the ditch. And there's a couple times from 14-1 on Road America. It's a right-hander. It tightens up a little bit, but it's over a hill. So you got to be careful with where your weight is before you apply the brakes. So many times they were coming 3 wide, almost 4 wide
That's
coming through that
fucking
turn.
Crazy.
But then one car would like just kind of give up and just go straight, just go like right into the grass or like right into the gravel pit. And it was so funny because these cars sound like they're going 1 billion miles an hour, but
Yeah.
they're 130 horsepower. So when they do go off, it just kind of looks like a little like 6-year-old that was in like one of those pedal bikes, just went the wrong way. But it was a blast. Gridlife, they did incredible. We got to host the concourse and car show area. You guys probably got to spend more time hanging out with the cars and the folks that were at the event. What was that like?
Yeah, we filmed a lot of content, and I got to talk to a lot of people and review some cars with them, and it was so cool. So many people were like excited to make content with us. So like I went up to like a Mark IV Supra that was just insanely clean. He was on Extreme Contact Sport 02s, TE37s, and it was a Mark IV. He was like, and it was black, so it was like my twin, but for a Mark IV. So it was like, I gotta talk to this guy, and we reviewed his car and just had a phenomenal conversation with him, and it was kind of cool. A lot of people were so stoked to see like what we were doing with the car scene and for the car scene, and so appreciative that we're out there at events, you know, getting into it. We're not just sitting here, you know, in the corner making videos.
Yeah.
We actually go out to these events, experience, and we're getting that knowledge and stuff. And it was so cool to see people literally stop me as I'm walking and say, "Hey, thank you for what you do." And I was like, holy shit, well, thank you, you know, I appreciate you, man. So yeah, it was awesome. And Gridlife, this was my first Gridlife, and it was the first time Gridlife was at Road America. And it was insane. Everywhere you looked, dude, I'm not even joking or exaggerating when it would be like, holy fuck, I am standing right next to Chris Forsberg right now, and he's getting in his Nissan Z and from Formula Drift, and he's gonna go rip it and drift Road America. Like I would back into that, or like I'm on the trolley riding over to the drift area, and I am literally 5 feet from T-Pain, who's loading up to get in his Pickle Rick car, and Hertz right behind him. Oh, and TJ Hunt just drove right past me and was waving at T-Pain, and like it was just like sensory overload of holy fuck.
Larry Chen's loading up the
Larry
Supra.
Chen's right here. He's chasing T-Pain. Like, it sounds fake, especially now that I'm like saying it all out loud. It's a lot to take in at once, and this shit's just happening. Everyone's just vibing. They're having a good time. It wasn't like chaotic. It felt almost relaxed, even though chaotic things were going on, if that's like a good way to describe it. But yeah, I had the chance to meet Larry Chen, which is phenomenal. I've always really, really, really looked up to Larry Chen as a photographer myself. You know, he's one of the best, if not the best, in the automotive game. And I've heard so many good things about him. I finally got the courage. I was like, I'm just going to fucking walk up to him. So I talked to him, and he was the nicest guy ever. Like everyone says, yes, he is absolutely the nicest guy ever. Gave me some Larry Chen stickers that he had in his pocket and stuff. And I told him I had to appreciate, Larry, you're a good photographer. But seeing you whip that Supra, chasing these cars,
That's insane.
Like, dude wasn't like hanging back. No. He's like 1 foot from these cars, chasing him on Road America with 2 cannons strapped to the front. Absolutely insane driver as well. So yeah,
I've always loved how honest Larry Chen is about everything too, because I've run into him half a dozen times, every single time. Incredible experience. He is one of the most, I think, passionate, you know, automotive photographers I've ever met in my entire life, and he's so open about his passion for it and how he does it and being involved, and he's so appreciative to the partners and people that he works with, which I think is huge. You know, he really does try to say he's huge with Canon, he's huge with Toyota. The fact that like Toyota out of Chicago, Midwest or whatever,
let him borrow that Supra and destroy it.
mock up that Mark V Supra. But I asked him one time, I think it was in an interview actually, or it was in an interview that I read when I was doing a video on Larry Chen, where he kind of talked about like how hard was it to get so invested and so involved in automotive photography? And Larry used to say, like, you have to sacrifice almost everything. He had to sacrifice almost everything to get where he was today because he was so dedicated to his craft. Every weekend he was somewhere. Every weekday he was somewhere. He was never at home.
Yeah.
And still to this day, it's like anytime there's some sort of like major automotive event that could be in the middle of the week, you'll always see Larry Chen there. He's always like, yeah, I'm here
he always is
randomly
everywhere.
in Missouri this week. And then like 2 days later, he's like, so I'm in Irwindale. And then on Sunday, he's like, I'm at IMSA in Chicago. And it's like, what in the hell? How are you doing this?
Never home.
You know, and I think a lot should be said about that because you can be really good, but you got to have that discipline to push forward and apply it and get yourself in uncomfortable situations. And I think Larry Chen is a testament of that because he is quite literally, I feel like there might be multiple Larry Chens. He seems to be everywhere.
He's cloned
maybe
himself.
that's why he's wearing the hat and sunglasses all the time.
Oh, sure.
He's like, okay, if we wear the biggest sunglasses we can and the hat to cover the back, you only know forehead and cheekbone.
I don't know, dude. I don't know how many people on this planet can capture stuff the way he does. So if they could find another one of Larry's to capture the content that he does, that'd be just as impressive because that dude's an animal.
Yeah.
He's insane.
It was cool to see the cultures, I think, intertwine a little bit too, because Gridlife obviously has track racing and drift.
Yep.
And I think at Road America, drifting on the main track was a big no-no for a very long time.
It was so wild to see
that. Was such an
Yeah.
interesting sight to see.
And they just repaved it. So
Yeah,
like Road America just invested a lot of money.
I don't know
They're
who
like-
sweet talked the guys at Road America to let them drift it, but they must have did some smooth talking because it's freshly repaved, and now you can see where they're doing some good old skids across there.
That was pretty wild. And,
Well, it was kind of the same at like Laguna Seca too.
yeah,
You know,
that's true.
They
Right.
had theirs out there right after they repaved it as well. It's
And don't get me wrong, I was thinking about that a little bit because we went out after a drift, open lap drift session, and the track was an entirely different
Sure.
composition. Like the line was all weird, and there was tire everywhere, and it was really slick. Like the first couple times, it was actually really slick. Yeah. And so then it's like, wow, I wonder if that's like if people are gonna get mad at that. But then I started watching like some of the open wheel to wheel, then some of the other stuff that was happening on this. Dude, that track gets beat to shit all the
Right,
time.
yeah,
People
right,
are
yeah.
knocking into each other, dropping fluids, blowing up tires.
Yeah.
Like, is drifting causing more damage? I guess I'm not so convinced on it, but I think it was really cool to see those two scenes intertwined because we had a lot of people come up for the concourse and are local to Wisconsin because we're up here in Wisconsin that are only track folk, you know, or that are only drift folk. And they got to see the other side of the motorsport scene, which I think was really good because you want the whole thing to grow, not just one side over the other. So with that being said, I suppose we should probably take a small break before we jump into the next segment, huh?
Yeah.
Huh.
Why don't
No.
nope.
Start over.
Why don't you tell us about your experience with the Extreme Contact Sport 02 on Road America?
All right. So I do want to say thank you to Continental Tire, who is our preferred partner and sponsor for the MartiniWorks podcast. We've worked with them for a long time, but I got to use and abuse their ECS02 on the M4 competition at Road America. Drove it all weekend. Must have had probably, I want to say, a little under 30 laps in total. We're going 142 miles from 14 to 1. We're going 143 from 3 to 5. And we're going 138 from the kink to Canada corner, which I want to say is like 12 or 11. And every single time, hard on the brakes, ECS02s did everything that they could incredibly well to keep the car planted. Turn-in was fantastic, even with the tiny little sidewall. We were using, you can actually see on the tire, you can see that we were using the shoulder up to the top of the word Continental, which was probably maybe a little bit aggressive. But during that whole time, no matter the temps, the Continental ECS02 stayed predictable. It stayed well within its realm of keeping the car under control. There was no floating. There was no issues with tread. And the craziest part about it is on Sunday when we packed everything up, we didn't swap out wheels and tires. We just drove home on them. And that was an awesome experience because guess what? It was raining when we came home and there was absolutely no gap in traction or feel on the street as there was on the track. And so it was an incredible experience to get behind the ECS02s and really put them through some serious paces. And they absolutely delivered on the performance, which was incredible. So if you guys are on the fence on which tires to pick up, the Extreme Contact Sport 02 is an absolutely fantastic tire if you're looking for a weekend warrior that you can take to the track and drive home. on the street. So if you're looking for those or other tires that Continental offers, you can check them out over at MartiniWorks.com. So I think when we were at Road America with Gridlife, obviously the talk of the town sometimes is like, how do drift and track cultures intermix? Like, do they mix well?
And car show.
And car show. How do they mix? Is it more like oil and water, or is it a bit more like ramen and spicy hot sauce? Like, what is it like? You guys from the outside, you spent some time mostly with us on the track side and maybe walked up to the paddock to check out the NOS activation and things like that. And you met with some of the drivers too. You met with Kevin and some of those guys. And then you spent some time over on the drift side too. What did you guys think was like the biggest maybe similarity and then the biggest difference between the two groups?
it was kind of, and I don't know if it was just like the area. Obviously, you have like the nice paddock area. Everyone's got their big trailers out. Like it's very like structured. We walked over to like the drift side, and it was like any spot that there could have been just something there was. And there's like the people were like under the cars. I saw cars torn apart. I saw body kits off. I saw diffs out. I saw, tires laying everywhere. I saw, people rolling stuff over together. It was pretty drastic of a difference when you cross that bridge to go over, but it felt the same. Like everyone was just there to have a good time. Like we were walking around like the main like paddock and stuff for like the time attack stuff and it felt the same. It didn't feel like anyone they were more like snooty or anything. like that. No, it wasn't anything like that. They were all there because we've been working on these fucking cars for the last 2 weeks, and we're here to have a good time. And we know Dead Mouse is playing tonight, and it's gonna be fucking sick.
Yeah, I'd say that it's a great call out because I didn't put it together, but you're right. We were all kind of like segregated into our own little communities throughout there. But I noticed at the where everyone that was track racing, doing the wheel-to-wheel racing and stuff, they were very clean, organized. I noticed the people were in their booths. They didn't really go out too much of their booth. A lot of them just stayed in their zone, working on their car, swapping stuff out, whatever. When we got to the drift area, that seemed a lot more like intermingling, kind of heading over to your buddy's booth. Yeah. Going over, hey, you got this, more intermingling. Yeah. And then the car community, the car show community, I should say, a lot of it was they showed up, everyone's cleaning their car. Everyone gets out, they're wiping their car down as you do, but then kind of spread out and they went everywhere throughout everything. Is like they know they got their show car here. Now I'm going to go check out everything else. And they really spread out across. So it was like 3 different levels. One's really tight, one's a little looser, and then one's just all over the place. That's what I noticed.
I think the car show group always gets this like weird, almost connotative thing, but I feel like they're almost always the most open about accepting new things. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like the car show guys, they build their car, they want it to look gorgeous, they build a period correct or whatever. But at an event like that, they do it, they drop it off, and they're like, I'm going to go check out drifting. Yeah, and I'm going to go see as much as I fucking can.
Yeah,
and then
you'll find them in the ride-alongs the majority of the day.
Yeah, and then they're like, okay, I'm done with this. I'm going to go to the track side, and I want to go see the paddock, and I want to go check out this car, and I heard this car's super fast, and I want to go. And like they're almost always there like for the experience rather than like doing something there. Whereas obviously the drifting and track, you're doing something, right? You're driving your car. I thought it was pretty funny because when I was going through tech, I was really nervous just because I've never done a full tech, which is much different than somebody looking at your helmet and seeing if it's, still one piece. And got approved, got the sticker, got the double mark. I was a happy boy. And a couple of my friends were drifting as well. And so I went over to kind of talk a little smack and just say hi and stuff like that. And dude, the people, how they tech drift cars and how they teched the track cars, totally different vibe.
Here's how they tech drift cars. Is the battery strapped down? Is there a cover on the battery? Do your reservoirs have some sort of sock on them? Does it leak oil? Good to go.
It was so great because you had obviously people that were proficient in the drifting community teching cars too. And then you had some people that were much more track oriented teching drift cars. And so when you saw those two tech people looking at a drift car,
and they're like, what is
one was
this?
like, you can't have a zip tying your coil like that, man. You can't have plastic near your valve cover.
We're like, why?
And then somebody would be like, I meant to take that off. I just, forgot to. Very clearly just hoping they didn't notice. And then I remember one, it was I don't know if it was a fuel pump or a gas. There's some sort of canister in the back of Jackson's car. And the guy was he must have knew him, but he's like, hey, fucker, you can't have it doing this. And he literally takes it and he shakes it back and forth and the whole thing is pivoting on itself. And Jackson's like, yeah, no, we'll put a bolt in that. Don't worry about that. And then Lars was getting teched too. It wasn't just the drift community. The track community also got teched super hard. And Lars pulled up, and the guy was much more, keel, black and white.
Yep.
And he goes, "Your battery tie down's not tight." And Lars is like, "Yes, yeah, it is." The guy's like, "No, it's not." And Lars goes to say, "No, it is." And as he says it, the tech guy just rips it off.
Oh shit!
And he goes, "No, it's not," and puts it down and walks away.
Well, I mean, fair enough. Touche.
Was it Gridlife people doing the tech, or was it Road America people doing the tech?
So the Gridlife brought in a small team from a shop that did a lot of the teching. At least the people that I talked to. I'm assuming there was a mix of all different types, but the guy that I spoke to was there was a performance shop, I want to say in eastern Minnesota, that came to help Gridlife with the tech inspections and stuff like that, which was super rad. But yeah, definitely two different groups. I think what was really interesting is I think everybody appreciates both sports a lot, because I did notice when people weren't track racing, they'd check out the drifting. And when people weren't drifting, they'd go and they'd watch the track racing. And I think that's really important, because sometimes I do think you get into a motorsport and you kind of put up a wall, and you're like, I don't want to do drifting. Sure. Drifting's for kids and red and black checkered shoes. And if you're a drift guy, you're like, I don't ever want to get into grip racing. It's full of stuck up prudes that have too much money they don't know what to do with. And it's like, I don't think either of those are entirely true, because there's so many people that were just looking to have a blast. And I think they did. And it was cool to even see those two groups coming together, especially with the festival.
I gotta ask, circling back a little bit here, what are the point of the socks on the reservoirs?
Just so if it leaks or
it just absorbs that fluid,
it just absorbs
rather than going
yeah.
on the track. Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Not a super effective method. Just it's there as a last minute emergency.
Yeah, that's fair. And honestly, I wasn't doing it, but if I was out there racing, I'd be okay with those tech guys being a little.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't want some hoopty out there fucking, I'm coming into a turn at 140 miles an hour and their shit's falling apart. I'm okay. Or, leaking fluid all over. Yeah. So I think tech guys, we should get them boot camp instructor.
No, they were good. I thought it was so funny because there's it is a little bit of a different kind of, build style. You know what I mean? Where I think there might be a little bit more at risk of your grassroots track car braking at 120 versus your grassroots drift car braking at 35, which a lot of times your car is going, you have wheel speed in drifting, but you don't necessarily have vehicle speed in drifting. And so I think sometimes the risks are a little bit lower on the drift side until you get into the semi-pro stuff. Hear me say that. There's obviously events where grassroots drivers are going 80 or 90 sideways, and that's, same sort of thing. But I think grassroots track car to grassroots drift car sometimes can be a little different in terms of what they have to be able to withstand without blowing up. But no, it was a really good time. Dude, seeing Deadmau5 at Road America was weird.
It was weird?
Yeah, it was awesome. I just never would have put those two. You can't put that in a sentence together and not look at an 80-year-old and be like, no, I'm not kidding.
That is crazy. Yeah. How was the festival? I didn't see the concert.
Dude, Deadmau5 was great. It was good. But as a semi-introverted, lots of sound sensory overload multiple times, and I had to get away. T-Pain's karaoke was
I heard that was fantastic.
Peak.
Was it really?
Peak.
I heard it was really good.
It was so good, man. You talk about the worlds colliding. I'm out there and I'm just listening to this karaoke. I got a margarita in my hand. I'm happy. I'm just so happy to be, done with the day. And all of a sudden, TJ Hunt comes out, with he's got the old hat and he's talking about Valvoline and he's all excited. He's talking about how he's practiced the song that he's gonna do. And then T-Pain looks at him and he's like, "Nah, brother, I got the song we're gonna sing. I got it." And he's like, "What? No, we have." He's like, "No. You put a tire mark on the side of my car. I'm picking the song you're singing because I like my cars to be cleaned, and you already ruined that. So you're going to listen, you're going to sing my song." And then T-Pain goes, "Don't worry, man. I'll cover all the N-words because you cool.
Oh, my
Don't
God.
worry about it." And you can see TJ like,
He's like, "Oh God, oh God." Yeah, what did they end up singing?
it was like, I think it was like I Fell in Love with a Stripper. It was one of T-Pain's songs.
Yeah.
And it was so awesome because like halfway through, TJ did a great job. And like his group like came on to like halfway through and like sang it, and they got the videographer up there and T-Pain singing and doing his stuff. But it's like Gridlife has this energy where I think it tears down the walls of people who you think are like this pedestal kind of person.
Yeah.
And you get to see a much more natural version of them in like a grassroots environment.
Yeah.
So to see T-Pain kind of having fun and then talking a little shit and getting a little shit talked back, and then, you know, Hurt up there talking a little shit, getting shit talked back, and then to see the TJ thing and all of that. I mean, it was kind of like a fun moment where it just felt like a communal experience. Everybody was experiencing the same thing. Nobody was getting anything special.
No.
Nobody was getting any preferential treatment. It was just there.
Yeah, I
It
will
was all
say
happening.
that really did set in when we were kind of like walking around and stuff like that. It didn't seem like anything was like roped off or like, no, you got to have like a special thing to go in here. Or it's like, you know, like because, you know, like T-Pain and like TJ like have special areas that like, you know, they're away from it. It's like they were right
just-
in the
that's
middle
what I was
of
saying.
everything.
Like you would literally be doing something and you just find yourself in T-Pain's like area, and you didn't like mean to it, but it's just like it's right here. Holy shit!
I followed a duck into T-Pain's booth by accident. I was enthralled with the drift duck from St. Louis last year.
Oh.
He was at
That duck get around. I've seen that duck at like every damn show and drift event that I've been to.
he waddled into my life and never
You're like,
left.
hey, you! I know you! I know that duck.
Does
like,
the duck
well,
do ride-alongs? Like, has anyone brought him on a ride-along?
I hope so.
Dude, the duck is a vibe. He was just like walking around, and then he sat down, and I looked up, and I was like, "Oh shit, there's Pickle Rick."
There's the fucking duck and Pickle Rick. Pickle Rick V2.
Yeah, that looks
Yeah,
good.
Pickle Rick V2 looking pretty good. The Boss kit, not.
I gotta say, I mean, I'll be straightforward. I don't like boss kits on.
Yeah, like
It's too
if you do,
Mustangy.
great.
Yeah,
Looks like great. Good for you. Personal preference, they're just a little much.
It's too polarizing for
Yeah.
me. It doesn't even look like a 240 anymore.
No, it looks like a little Challenger or something.
And the problem is, I think 240s look good. So it's like, why are you deleting that?
yeah. Overall, though, I thought the car was sick.
Yeah,
I was
it's-
happy that the V2 made it. I think they ran into a little bit of an issue at some point, though. They were trying to. They had a bunch of guys in there working on it, but it was super cool to like see the unveiling of it, especially after all this shit.
And
that
seen
the
him
car went
drive it
through.
too. You ripped it.
Yeah,
Center.
he wasn't holding back. He
And
was
it-
sending that thing.
And a huge shout out to all the local Wisconsin drivers
Yeah.
and drifters from this weekend too. Like Jackson
Showing up.
Hazen was out there with his 240, absolutely just whipping it.
Chris was out there.
Huge shout out to Chris Hart with his Corvette
Mm-hmm.
getting out there. There was a ton of grassroots drivers in the Time Attack. In the HPDE events
Mm-hmm.
that were part of that. So if you're a Wisconsin native that went out to the weekend and drifted or drove or did anything, thank you for doing that. That obviously keeps the community growing, man. And congratulations on being out there. Road America is a demanding track. It is a challenging track, and it breaks a lot of unprepared vehicles and people. And so if you made it out there, definitely take that, be
congrats.
proud of that. You made it. You did one of the hardest tracks in the state. So or
Thanks for
country.
everyone showing up too. I mean, you know, that was huge. I think it made a good impression, you know, for that event. Obviously, being the first one here, especially, you know, at Road America too. Like it's a very big deal, and something that, you know, I'd love to see continue to come back. So
Absolutely.
I think, you know, anyone that did take the time to show up, whether that was coming out to like the concourse, coming out, you know, say hi to us, or coming out for the drifting or anything, you know, that makes a huge difference. So thank you.
Yeah, and to Gridlife, thanks for trusting us with the concourse, the car show section, helping us with trying to bring some more people to that to that front door. Really appreciate it. because we want to keep doing that. And I think we were all in our element. So.
Yeah, had a few people come up that said, "Hey, I love the podcast." So that's always so cool to hear. Appreciate when you guys say that.
Yeah,
it's so cool. A lot of people, they're like, "Hey, I listen to it while I'm at work. We just all put it on and we listen to it." Like that's so dope. So I really appreciate when you guys bring that up and come and say hi and talk to us and hang out at the booth and all that good stuff. There again, like I had people stop me and just say, "Hey, we appreciate you out here," and that means the world. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. If you ever see us out and you want to say hi, please do.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Love talking to
I'm
you
usually
guys.
not doing anything, so.
One of my favorite parts was we were going to host the podcast at the track, and then I realized maybe not a good idea with all the sound in the background.
I don't know how
and
that
I
would've
realized
it would've
there
been
was
cool.
noise from 8 to 6. Every minute had noise of some kind. There was
I don't
no
even know how
chance.
I would have gotten you for an hour.
Yeah, that too.
How would I have gotten you for an hour
That was
to
tough.
just sit down and not go do something? 'Cause
still.
There's so much going on. Like, I mean, us too. Like, we were out filming. I don't think there would have been any way for us to just take an hour unless it was like at the end of the night or something. But I had to go home and let my puppy out. I have a puppy.
Yeah, I got excited to see my kitties on Sunday. I will say that.
Yeah, I
bet that was a
Mm-hmm.
much needed thing.
Yeah,
One more thing, and then we'll be done with this segment. I want to show you guys my favorite moment.
Okay.
My favorite moment of the trip, because it's not.
it the
Hold
duck?
on. No, the duck is cool.
Shows us photo of duck.
The duck is cool. That's not the. It's not the
Yeah,
duck.
let me see.
Moment?
Oh, the duck. That is so nice.
Oh, it's the goose.
Oh, coffee in the morning.
Oh, there it is.
Right at the
Right.
racetrack.
Right down the
Ferrari
freaking
right there. Too.
straightaway.
Yeah.
That is really cool. You do appreciate your morning coffees with a
Yes,
view.
he does.
Dude, with a little frost on the car
Yeah.
too. Like you can't tell
Got
me.
chilly.
Like it was 58 at night, waking up 6
Good,
o'clock in
because
the
it was like
morning.
90 in the fucking afternoon.
There was nothing wet after like 11 a.m. I
Yeah.
tell you that. It was tough. But you want to give us a hookup on the Fortune Auto?
Yeah. I love Fortunato.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Oh, wait. That's a perfect segue. I should tell them about them because they're one of our sponsors.
Oh,
I didn't even realize. Okay, so Fortune Autos, they're available at MartiniWorks.com. As you guys know, we love running them. They are seriously some of the best feeling coilovers I've ever put on any of my cars. I've had a few different sets, and even if this podcast was not sponsored by Fortune Auto, I'd be going and getting Fortune Autos because actually I put them in before they sponsored the podcast. So I'm just saying, I absolutely love them. If you want to get custom spring rates, if you want to upgrade to Swift springs, if you want them for the track, if you want them for the show, do you want them to drift, they will make them perfect for you. And that's why I love Fortune Auto. The customizability is endless. And I mean, just the ones straight out of the box are going to be perfect for anyone that just, spirited drives their car on the street. You don't need to get anything crazy. You can literally get the ones that are straight out of the box. I've only ran 500s. In my last set that I got for the Supra, I was going to get 510s, and they were like, well, are you going to be tracking it quite a bit more? And I was like, no. And they're like, just get the 500s. You'll be perfectly fine. They were absolutely right. I didn't need 510s. Just, I like the color change. It was kind of neat. I wanted
there's a
different
little bit
ones.
blue on it.
I thought more money meant more power, but that's not how it works. For 510s, if you need those, though, those are a phenomenal set of coilovers. I believe Alex is running those because he is tracking them a bit more. So maybe I need to get my butt out there and upgrade to a set of 510s. But if you want to upgrade your suspension, check it out. Fortune Auto at MartiniWorks.com.
Either he gets out on the track or I'm buying a Supra and I'm turning it into a track car.
Damn.
Oh, God, I cannot.
Damn.
I'm not letting you blow up my car.
Welcome back to breaking news. I did that pretty good, right? That was close to the SpongeBob. Still never watched it. Okay.
It's about the same.
First things first, Corvette ZR1, brand new, split window, 1,000 bajillion horsepower.
Literally 1,064 horsepower.
That is absolutely
Production.
insane. 5.5 liter twin turbo. I think everybody's heard the story. This thing is going to absolutely destroy on the track in capable hands, without a doubt. But the question is how much do you think that car is going to be listed at? And how much do you think it's going to sell for?
Well, by the time this comes out, that might have already come out. I would say it's going to be listed at least 300,000.
300,000? Dakota?
I feel like it's going to be more, honestly.
That's what it would list at.
Yeah, right. You're right. Yeah. God, I don't know. Have you seen that meme where it's like, there's like a cat on the golf course or whatever, and then the rich white guys laugh, and it's just like all those
Yeah.
images. of like rich people things.
Yeah.
That will be like 3 of the images is that Corvette.
Gotcha.
It just like flashes the image. That's gonna be that Corvette.
They say 195,000 starting.
Ain't no fucking way.
And then 260,000 optioned out.
Oh, okay.
I believe this car is going to sell like the first round of them, 325,000. They're gonna put it on par with like beating a Porsche GT3 RS.
I mean, it is literally. I mean, obviously supercar. Would that be kind of edging towards like a hypercar territory at that point? Like that's a lot of fucking car,
Dude,
1,000 horsepower.
Supercar, hypercar, that shit's all made up. You just get to decide what
I think it depends on like how many are made, right? Like that's kind of what determines.
It's like that, and it's like all the unique stuff about the car.
Yeah,
because a Pagani is, in my opinion, that is a supercar.
Why isn't
not
it
a hypercar?
I was gonna say, why isn't it a hypercar?
Yeah.
But I don't think a Corvette is necessarily a hypercar, even if it had 300.
Well, is that just because it has models that are not in that category?
Maybe
so
that's
it kind of downplays. I mean, if they called this Corvette something else and it was a one-off name, that would probably make it a hypercar.
Maybe,
right?
yeah.
Do they need to label it as a GMC?
But I think you need the consistency, right? Because like if Koenigsegg came out with just one car, then disappeared,
Like a daily commuter.
yeah, it would be weird.
yeah, yeah. You're right.
You know, it's like it's got to be a $700,000 SUV, otherwise
But
it doesn't make the cut.
I think Audi does a good job of they have like daily commuters, but then they have like their hypercars, supercars and stuff too.
Yeah, they just don't make the R8 anymore, which is really sad.
Yeah, it's a big fuck up. Big L.
Next huge story. This one I've seen going around on the internet.
All right, let me hear it.
Okay, so Toyota ends up denying a warranty for a GR Corolla fire. They blame it because the tires were rated below 85 miles per hour, yet the ECU reported that he drove the car above 85 miles an hour.
So they're
The
saying
car started on fire, but because you went over 85 miles an hour, that's a problem.
Full inspection report from Toyota, they said, hey, you noticed that the car was making a strange noise on the highway. You noticed some oil temperature was high. You pulled over. The car started on fire. You said 5 minutes later, the police showed up with the fire out. We looked at it a little bit later. We noticed that there was an accident on the car before this report, which OP provided proof that it was paint repair because he was behind one of those trash trucks that had like the back open and got hit with a bunch of rocks, proven with an invoice from the Toyota dealership for repainting. They then go on to say, at the time of the inspection, the vehicle had fire damage to the front end of the engine compartment, and then says, hey, oil residue was found at the turbocharger, the bottom of the engine, and the undercarriage and exhaust pipes. The owner's manual warns.
Wait, what kind of car is this?
GR Corolla.
Oh, I thought you said GR86.
No, GR Corolla.
Oh.
The owner's manual warns not driven in excess of the speed limit. Even if the legal speed limit permits it, do not drive over 85 miles an hour unless your vehicle has high speed capability tires. Driving over 85 miles per hour may result in tire failure, loss of control, and possible injury. Be sure to consult a tire dealer to determine whether the tires on your vehicle are compatible or not. Based on our inspection findings and the facts relating to this incident, we cannot provide any further assistance on this matter.
Well, here, I can debunk that a little bit because Toyota's revenue in 2023 was $307.4 billion with a B. Give the guy a fucking new car, shut him up, and move on. And make sure this ain't happening on other cars, and you'll be fine. God, that is insane that a company can make $370 billion, and then there's a freaking issue like RTVs and stuff like that, and they cannot... Oh, dude, it drives me nuts when they try to find any way to get out of these claims and stuff, like looking at the reports and there's paint damage and be like, oh, well, you worked on the car. Or like
it's crazy to think how well Toyota is supported from like a perception, like people like it. Yeah. But when it comes down to trying to get something from them, it is like trying to get a car from like your cheap uncle. It's just literally impossible, it feels
and
like.
it's so crazy because it seems like they set themselves up for this stuff. I mean, it's the same thing when, they were giving free track days with the fucking GR86s.
And then they were
blowing up because of the RTV issue. And they're like, well, you shouldn't have tracked it. And it's like, you gave me the fucking track day.
I do not like that. I do not like that. That is making a bad name for Toyota when they have such a reputable name. It's like, why are you guys doing this to yourselves? So, I don't know. I think they should shut that up, shut it down quick, and move on.
All right, I got another good one.
Okay.
We talked about this actually for a while now because we started this podcast almost 2 full years ago.
It's coming up on 2 years.
We used to talk about how people were buying cars for way too much money.
Oh, yeah.
Because money wasn't real. Inflation was at a weird all-time high. Still is,
Yeah.
right? Well, survey says car repossessions have begun to surge as 23% of Americans fall behind on payments.
Weird.
Jesus.
Interesting. Wonder why that is.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 of us in this room.
Yes.
Which one of y'all is falling behind on your
No.
car payment?
No.
I'm Gucci right now, but you're scaring me.
Yeah.
I feel like I got a check.
Statistics are showing.
Wait, have I been paying that?
No. There's been more money in my checking account. Those auto payments stopped coming up. There's been this tow truck running around the neighborhood.
Bro. Good on him. I'm
Oh
glad.
God. I mean, yeah, it's only a matter of time, right? I mean, you got these crazy high payments. Low interest though.
Yeah.
Low interest.
Well, for how long?
It was just a joke because they paid $50,000 more than what they probably should have.
Dude, it's
But got
terrible.
low interest.
Low interest.
That's the listen.
What? They got low interest.
They got low interest.
So
I'm at 2.5%.
Anything I bought with low interest in the heydays of financing, I guess, I am now keeping for the rest of my life.
every car, house, truck, toy. Yeah, I was looking at my interest rate on because we still have a loan on one of our cars, and it was like 2.12%, and I'm like, this is really great. I just went over to my local credit union just to like peruse the interest rates. It's like 6%.
It's
Dude,
crazy.
yeah.
That sucks. You
crazy.
stink.
Boo.
Ooh,
Something else
interest
that-
rates are gross.
Something else that stinks. Imagine this.
I just see a picture of a dude.
Shut up. Imagine this. You're a Ferrari employee, and the CEO of Ferrari calls you and tells you to do something. Do you do it?
Yeah.
Depends on where am I at that moment.
Let's say you're
What's
working.
wait. What's he tell me to
Yeah.
do first?
I need more information.
Hold up. I answered that way too quick.
Because if I'm at work and the CEO says, "Hey, do something," I'm
Yeah.
probably gonna do it.
Right.
But if I'm like at home,
If it's to buy like a bunch of Google Play cards or something, then I probably wouldn't do it
Yeah.
because there's those
plus I don't
phishing
work
emails.
for Ferrari, so it'd be really weird if the CEO called me.
Guys, listen. Okay. Ferrari almost had a deep fake scandal where somebody managed to impersonate the Ferrari CEO in WhatsApp messages and a phone call with another executive.
Wow.
They managed to make it sound like he was having a full-on conversation with another executive.
Please tell me Google
then
Play
using
cards.
through WhatsApp and almost got in.
Oh my god,
That's crazy.
Dude, that shit is getting terrifying.
That's crazy.
I mean, we went through something similar with that. I
okay,
mean,
with the advancements of AI and stuff, we need advancements on
like
authenticators.
detectors. Yeah.
Yeah, like this is real, this is fake.
Yeah.
There should be something like, I mean, when you have like all the metadata of a file, right?
Mm-hmm.
How can they not just instantly detect stuff, whether it's uploaded to
Mm-hmm.
any social media platform, if it's fake or not? Just looking at the metadata.
Because I can take a photo and 10 years from now, it can say when it was taken, where it was taken, what settings.
Aperture, everything. Yeah.
Like, there's got to be something.
I just think that that's hilarious that it almost got us. It almost got Carissa that one time. So it does almost work.
I've seen it happen
What
too many times.
what was the goal? Like, did they say like
it
they're
had to-
trying to make the
Sensitive information.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Play
Yeah.
cards.
And last but
Google
not
Play
least,
cards.
Google Play cards.
you're the Toyota CEO, and you've decided to bring back
Moving
the
on.
legendary Toyota MR2 and Celica.
Oh,
wow.
What do you bring them back with?
as far
What
as
engine?
engines?
oh,
Not a Subaru engine. We're gonna start there.
something new.
Of course.
Celica. Oh, man, dude.
I would bring the Celica back with the 2-liter turbo that's in the Supra, and I would bring the MR2 back in the GR Corolla 3-cylinder.
Yeah, I could see that.
That's what I
I
would
could
do.
see that in MR2.
Both are supposed to be budget entry-level sports cars, so that's what I think
Yeah.
would work best for them.
Yeah.
6-cylinder turbos in both, and what they do.
Inline. We're gonna make that.
No,
we're gonna make the new
actually-
MR2 112-inch
You guys
wheelbase.
didn't let me finish. This is the best part. They found a bunch, because I'm the CEO, so I can make them do whatever. They found a bunch of new old stock 2JZ GTEs, and they're
Damn!
dropping them. So
Oh shit!
Oh my god!
Oh my god! It's crazy.
EPA is
I
gonna
am
love
the
you.
best CEO of Toyota that they've ever had.
All warranty claims about fires on cars approved.
I knew they were hiding them.
Every 12-year-old's gonna be the happiest person in the world. Will know that every new Toyota is coming in with a 2JZ GTE engine in it.
Hell yeah.
Every single one now. All of the cars have 2JZ GTE engines. For the next 5 years. Even the EVs are coming with 2JZ GTE engines.
You don't have to run it if you don't want to, but it's got it.
And now everyone is happy.
But this is for America, so they're all automatics.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah, they're actually 2JZ GEs.
Yeah. Not true. That would be, yeah.
That would be our luck. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. And if you have any questions or news you want us to cover, drop it in the comments below. Of course, if you're looking for car parts, wheels, wheel and tire packages, we mount those together and we can ship them to you as well. We balance them and we mount them for free. Head on over to MartiniWorks.com. If you see something or if you don't see something that you need, shoot us a message using that little chat bubble in the corner. You're talking to Carissa, Hamby, or one of us, and we would love to help you out because we want to see you mod your car right. With that said, Gels, anything to add?
Bubble.
Dakota?
Welcome for all the 2JZs. You're welcome.
Probably going to need one of those for the Honda. We'll talk to you guys later. Goodbye.
I'm updating my bio to say CEO of Toyota. No.